Okay, so good afternoon. My name's Kevin Swittai, and I'll be hosting a webinar today on planning for success in proposal development in 2019. So we're going to get started right now. Watching this rebroadcast of this. We're going to go through the agenda first, and then we'll get into our individual topics for the day. So we'll go through an introduction of who I am and the topics that we're going to be covering today. Talk about what do you want to get out of 2019? And then potential ways to improve your proposal career. We'll talk about 5 different topics: APMP certification, attending industry events, your personal brand, mentoring, and developing within your company. And we'll finally finish with wrap up and questions. So first, introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kevin Swittai. I'm the president and CEO of BZ Opportunity Management. We are a small consulting firm, primarily working with government clients, federal, state, and local. We work with contractors to provide proposal development support, contract support, process optimization, and training in opportunity lifecycle management. I've been doing proposals for over a decade now. I've worked before being the president of BZ Opportunity Management. I worked for several small, mid-sized, and large companies in a wide range of proposal roles, from proposal coordinator to director of proposal operations. I was a member of the APMP NCA board for the last couple of years, primarily running the APMP NCA conference, which has been a great success and something we'll talk about in a few slides. I also served as a mentor in the APMP NCA program and have spoken at a wide range of local, regional, and international. A little bit about myself. And now we'll move into, what do you want to get out of 2019? We all have goals we want to reach in the new year. Everybody always makes New Year's resolutions and looks for ways to improve themselves and to get the most out of the coming year. For example, for our career, we look for promotions, potentially a new job or a new challenge, or just getting the most out of who we are in the business environment. Personally, most people look at having a healthier lifestyle, healthier living, reading more books, or being more engaged in political conversations and discourse. Learning a new skill, for example, learning how to be a better photographer or knit or something along those lines. We all have our goals and our challenges that we put before ourselves in the new year to improve ourselves both professionally and personally. So how can we accomplish those goals? For me, the number one thing is always to make a plan. All right, to write out what I want to get out of the year and what we're looking to do as a company. It takes hard work to improve who you are and to get to where you want to be, but the first step is to go and how to get there. So the first thing that I always do is plan out where I want to be and identify those top goals. I've put here a great resource, the Productive Flourishing Annual Reflection Worksheet. Not only helps you look back at the previous year, but it also gives you a great way to chart out what you want for the coming year. So plan out what you want. Identify your high-level goals and where you want to be 12 months from now. Second, find the right resources to help get you there. And we'll go through what some of those resources are for proposal professionals in just a couple of minutes. The third thing that I find really important is to hold myself accountable, both personally and by asking others to help me with that. So I keep my goals in my planner. I'm somebody who still keeps a paper planner, so I use that all the time. And then I also keep them on my desk. So I have the summary of what my key professional and personal goals are for the year, and I look at them every day. What that allows me to do is look and think about how I am holding myself accountable to those and how I'm achieving those goals. And second, I have a couple of well-placed friends, both professional and personal, who I ask to help keep me accountable. So when we get together for lunch, they'll be like, so Kevin, how are you doing on goal X? Right? How are you doing on getting those 2 books done for the year? And it really does help push me to make sure that I'm getting done what I need to get done. So when we're planning, we really first should lay out the big picture. We should lay out what those key goals are and how we're going to achieve them in a broad sense, and then break them down into doable bites. To give you a personal example, my wife and I have committed to having a healthier lifestyle here in 2019. So what we've done is broken those into monthly targets. So our target for 2019 in January is to work out more. And we have set our goal to help us achieve that end goal of healthier living. Professionally, I'm hoping to give you guys some ways to achieve your goals and some good guidance and suggestions on enhancing your professional career. So to introduce the 5 main ways that I think you can enhance your proposal professional career, I want to first mention that we often get caught up in the crush of our ongoing efforts. And it's hard for us often to plan ahead. It's hard for us to think about those goals and execute on them. But it's critical for us to continue to grow as proposal professionals and as members of our professional community to have those goals, to achieve them, and to set time aside every week to accomplish what we need to do. If we aren't moving forward in our careers, we're getting left behind. So my approach and what I do as I'm building my professional goals is first, I build in time every week to execute on those. As I said before, I keep a paper planner. Every day I set aside time in that planner. I mark it off as time for me to do what I need to do from a professional point of view. I also mark time off on my publicly available calendar that others can see within the company so that those times are blocked off and that I'm not interrupted. As I mentioned, I keep my goals written on my desk and written in my planner. That allows me to know where I need to go. And the final point that I mentioned before is I ask others to hold me accountable in a professional sense. So we're going to talk about 5 specific areas in which you can enhance your proposal professional career today. I'm going to talk about APMP certification, APMP events, building your personal brand, mentoring, and how to develop your professional career within your company. And as I said, we'll start with APMP certification. APMP is the professional organization for proposal professionals. It stands for Association of Proposal Management Professionals. And it's an international organization with chapters around the world that is committed to making our profession better. I first off highly recommend that everybody become a member of APMP if you aren't already. APMP provides great resources through their website, apmp.org. We'll talk about certification now. We'll talk about events. They provide publications and publication opportunities. They provide their own webinars. There are great resources out there in proposal management from APMP. But what I want to focus on here is the APMP certification process. They run a program that baselines knowledge and capabilities and provides a standard for us to achieve and live up to. There are 3 levels of certification within APMP's system. The first is foundation level certification, which demonstrates an extensive knowledge and understanding of best practices in the field. Often, somebody with 1 to 3 years of proposal professional experience would be ready to get their foundation level certification. The second tier, and this is the tier that I currently have, is practitioner, which demonstrates a mastery of how to apply those best practices and lead others in their use. Often people who have their practitioner certification have between 3 and 7 years of experience when they achieve that certification. And then finally is the professional level. This demonstrates significant contributions to an organization and or the profession, as well as proven leadership and communication skills. People who get their professional level certification must have at least 7 years of proposal professional experience. And this is really the creme de la creme of our profession. These are people who have really committed to making themselves the best professionals they can be. So why is it valuable to get your professional certification or your practitioner or foundation level? The first is it exhibits a commitment to your profession and to your professional life. By working to gain these certifications, by taking the steps that you need to, it shows that you have committed yourself to being the best proposal professional you can be. And by doing so, incorporating best practices into everything you do. Second, it gains the respect of your peers and of others in your organization. All professional organizations have different types of certification. So when you have letters at the end of your name, most people then recognize that you have made a contribution to your field and that you have committed to being the best professional you can be. Third is it does reinforce the fact that proposal management and being a proposal professional is a profession. Too many people, especially in the past, looked at proposals as an administrative function. And while a lot of that is changing within organizations, putting forth a certification behind your name and as part of your professional life reinforces the fact that this is a strategic role within our organizations. And then finally, it's just a practical point of view. More employers are starting to see proposal professional certification as important and getting the right types of people into their organization. Therefore, you're starting to see more and more job requisitions out there say that APMP foundation level certification is required for a proposal position. So just from that point of view, as you apply for new jobs or as you look to expand your career, having that certification will be definitely a useful asset. So how do I get certified? Might be a question that's running through your head right now. And I'll talk about the 3 different levels and the types of experience and testing that you have to go through to do so. So the first is the foundation level. And that is a 1-hour open book, multiple choice, mostly online exam. There are still some paper versions, but most of the time people are doing this online now. And these are questions that run the gambit of proposal development from bid identification through submission and production. You're able to use your APMP guide, your Shipley guide, any other publications or notes that you have when you take the exam. And when you take that multiple choice exam, you get your result right away. You find out whether or not you have passed or not. The second level, practitioner, is actually in an interesting place right now here in January of 2019. Currently, and up until this point, practitioner level certification came through an independent self-assessment where you had over 30 categories that you had to show that you had experience providing those types of support services or working on those types of proposals. Now, that type of certification process will end in July of this year. Their APMP is phasing that out and instead going to an objective testing exam, which will be released in 13 days on the 22nd of January. This will be a multiple choice exam online that will be built around a scenario provided, and then you will need to provide your answers to the questions that are there. APMP anticipates this is going to take about 2.5 hours to complete. And there will be opportunities at conferences and online to get some training and some additional information about this in the months coming forward. So through July, you can go either route. You can either do the exam or you can do the independent self-assessment. Come July, you will only be allowed to do the objective testing exam. And then finally, it's the professional level, which has 2 main components. There's the proposal professional impact paper, which shows how you have had an impact on your organization or on the profession as a whole. It's a PowerPoint template built presentation that's provided to APMP. And then you have to provide a reference to back up the information that you're saying. And then finally, there's a 45-minute interview that they conduct to make sure that you are really living what you're saying and that you have made significant contributions and have proven leadership and communication skills. Each of these exams does have a cost associated with them. I believe you can, it starts at $650 for foundation and goes up from there. You can get all of that information and more on the APMP website. It's apmp.org/page/accreditation program. If you go to the slides that I sent out an email link to earlier, on this slide note, on slide 6, you're going to find the information in that URL. So that's APMP certification. We'll move on to a second part of APMP, which is APMP events. And I have to tell you, this is my favorite part of being involved in the organization, is being able to speak at and attend APMP events across the country. So there are multiple types of events that APMP hosts. The first are webinars. APMP itself, as an international organization, and its individual chapters regularly run free webinars that are free to their members on a wide range of topics dealing with proposals and bid management. Right now, APMP is doing a series of the best of from the 2018 Bid and Proposal Con in San Diego. So they've asked some of the most requested and highest rated panels, presentations, and workshops to provide a webinar on the topic that they spoke on at the conference. I know that there's one next week, actually. So if you go to apmp.org, you'll find more information there. There are also a lot of regional organizations in APMP that hold their own conferences. If you look in the notes page, I provided some information on those individual ones. I've got a couple of the logos here on the page here. SPAC, which is Southern Proposal Excellence Conference, is the next one that's coming up. That's going to be the 20th and 21st of March down in Atlanta, Georgia. And that mainly draws from the southeastern United States, although speakers come from around the country to provide their insights at that conference. The Greater Midwest Chapter Symposium is usually in September and October, often in Chicago, but I know they've moved to locations occasionally for that. The one that I've been involved in running the last 2 years, the Mid-Atlantic Conference, that is in October here in the DC metro area. The APMP UK chapter holds their conference, which is usually a 2-day event in October as well, usually in the London metro area. So if you are in the UK, you can get more information on their conference through their organization. The California chapter holds their training day. This year, it'll be on the 25th of October in Anaheim, California at Disneyland, at one of the hotels at Disneyland. So that is always a great event. And then finally, the Pursuit Expo over the last few years has been co-hosted by the Nor'easters and Liberty chapters. So that basically takes the entire Northeast of the United States, New England, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. And that has been the last couple of years in November. It was in Hartford in 2017. It was in Providence, Rhode Island last year. And I know they're still working on their scheduling for that. But those regional conferences are great opportunities to hear from speakers and to get to know other people within a smaller environment. And then finally, on the right side here of the slide is the APMP Bid and Proposal Conference. It's the APMP International Conference. It draws people from around the world. It's a 2.5-day conference. It's this year, May 20th to 23rd. The 20th is the training day. And then conference festivities kick off on the 21st through the 23rd. It'll be in Orlando, Florida this year. And there are usually over 1,000 proposal professionals who attend this conference and get great insights and networking opportunities. So I've kind of already hinted at some of the things that you can get from attendance at a conference like these. First is insight and information. You get to learn what other people are finding useful and successful in their careers. And you're able to get a lot of great best practice information and see where the field is going and see where we're developing and changing. Second is networking. You're able to really connect with a lot of people in the field. Everybody who's there understands what you're going through as a professional and can provide a sympathetic shoulder to cry on, or encouragement or advice, or what's worked for them. And it's great to get to know people at the conferences. I've gotten to know people from literally around the world at these conferences and made some great professional friends through it. Part of that too is understanding there are others who are facing our challenges. A lot of times when we're working on a bid, or especially when we're in a small team, we don't really think about the fact that others are facing those same problems, challenges, headaches, and issues that we are. And knowing that there's a large community of people who are out there and able to support us can really be encouraging. Fourth, there's vendors and consulting services and product sales people who are at these conferences. And where that really comes in is helping you become a better professional and helping your organization achieve more. So these are groups and companies who are there to provide resources and support. And there's usually some great exhibitors and some great information you can get from people at the conference. And then finally, all the conferences usually have prizes of some sort. International conference, APMP, Bid and Proposal Con, has become famous over the last few years for having a cash drawing at the end, $1,000 cash drawing at the end of the conference. And other conferences and exhibitors all do their own drawings and giveaways at the conferences. Plus, you can pick up some really cool swag like pens, pads, koozies, notebooks, all that kind of fun stuff. So that's a really minor reason to go, but you can get some good prizes out of things. I'm going to talk later on about how you can become a speaker. I'll mention that in the next slide about developing your personal brand. But I did want to just say here that submission requirements vary depending on the conference and depending on who's putting on the conference. But it does provide you a chance to make a statement and to reinforce the fact that you are somebody with something important to say in this field. So how do I justify my attendance to my bosses, especially, when we're having budgetary problems or when we're really slammed during conference season? The first is to detail out what you will get out of the conference. So what type of information are you going to be able to bring back? Now, when the schedules come out and the list of speakers and topics come out, this gives you a great opportunity to say to your boss, these are the panels and presentations I'm going to go to, and this is the information that I'm going to bring back. You also then can bring that information back and help others on your team implement best practices and go further in their careers and go further on their individual bids. I always recommend to build a budget of how much it will cost the organization for you to attend. That includes your registration cost, your flight, the hotel, transportation, and most of the times companies will give per diem for these types of events. So build that entire cost profile up front. That way your boss can understand exactly what the fiscal investment will be in you attending this conference. I think it's important that companies understand the value, not just in terms of your individual knowledge, but also in terms of getting their name out there of you attending these conferences. It's a great chance for you to say, I work for company X, and here's what we do. And that can help start creating some of those relationships as part of your networking that can come to help you on bids in the future. I've reached out multiple times to people that I've met at various APMP conferences to see if their companies are interested in teaming or are bidding on something or to get some further information. And it really helps that you've gotten to know these people in person, that you've broke bread with them, hung out with them, and it really does help build that network and that opportunity development pipeline for your company. So next, I want to talk a little bit about developing your personal brand. And I'll be upfront and honest. I used to hate the term personal brand, but over the last few years, I've really come to embrace it and see it as something valuable because it really is an all-encompassing idea of who you are as a professional. It includes your reputation, your work ethic, your character, all the types of things that go into your professional capabilities and your professional persona is part of your personal brand. It helps define who you are in a business environment to other people. So developing and increasing awareness of your personal brand and of who you are is a great way to get to what you're looking to achieve in the coming year. So there are four main ways that we can do that. The first is through networking, which I've already talked about a little bit. But making connections and getting to know people allows them to see who you are and what you can do. It's a great chance for you to be a positive force in not just your professional career, but in that of others. I've always looked at my network as a two-way relationship. It's a way for me to benefit from experience and knowledge of others, but also to give back to individuals. There's a great book by a man named Adam Grant called Give and Take, which talks a lot about professional networks, personal networks, and how we can be most effective and most successful as a professional based on our networks. And Grant, just to talk for a second, breaks people into three groups. Takers, those who get more out of their network than put in. Matchers, who are a one-to-one relationship. And givers, who obviously, going off that definition, give more in their network than they take. And you would think, just based on logic, that matchers would be the ones who ended up the most ahead because they're that 50-50 relationship. But in fact, Grant finds that the most successful people are givers. And what he specifically says is that successful givers put other people first most of the time, but they focus on helping in ways that are not at odds with their own interests. And by being somebody who's always giving back and always open to helping other people, it allows you to forge deeper, more meaningful connections. There's the old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. By helping others achieve their goals, they're then more likely to help you achieve yours. And like I said, I would highly recommend Give and Take by Adam Grant. It's a great book and a great way to think about how you can best explore and develop your network. The second way that you can increase awareness of your personal brand, and this is especially true here in the 21st century, is through your online presence. Almost everybody right now knows that social media is critical to being successful in today's business, both as an organization and as an individual. Each type of social network that's out there has a specific role to play in your professional life. So make sure that you use them correctly and use them in an effective manner. I'm just going to talk about a couple today, which is LinkedIn and Twitter. But as you guys probably know, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, a wide range of different types of social networks and social capabilities out there. But LinkedIn really is the core social media site for professionals. And LinkedIn provides you the opportunity to follow and connect with others, both in your profession and among other people that you know. This helps you increase your network and increase your capabilities of sharing who you are and building that personal brand. In addition, LinkedIn offers groups that allow you to come together with like-minded professionals and have conversations, learn new information, and again, get to connect with other people. There are a wide range of bid and proposal management groups in LinkedIn, both those affiliated with organizations like APMP and other independent ones. So if you're on LinkedIn, I would highly recommend you look at some of these groups and see how you can develop and gain insight into being a proposal professional from these groups. The second one is Twitter. And while most people don't use Twitter for professional means or for developing their networks or careers, there is a really strong way that you can do so. Twitter provides you the chance to make a statement, provides you a way to get news in the field and just generally. And then you can also become a trend leader, using hashtags, putting content out there on Twitter, linking to other sources and articles and giving your own insights is a way for you to get noticed in the field. There are several hashtags that are, related to our field. For those of us who work primarily in the government space, the hashtag GovCon, GovCon, is always an important one. There's also proposal development, proposal management, whatever you can think of as part of what you do. you can make into a hashtag. Most professional organizations in our sphere do have Twitter accounts and do put out news sources and information and upcoming activities and events. So I highly recommend, if you're on Twitter, to start following those. You can follow me. I'm on Twitter at Dr. Switai. One of the things I've been tweeting about recently is trying to increase awareness around the plight of government contractors in this partial government shutdown. We're hearing a lot about those who are being impacted that are federal employees who are being negatively impacted, but there's also a lot of government contracting people in the workforce out there who are right now either on furlough or having to take PTO or are working without pay because of this shutdown. And really, that's been a story that I don't think the news has covered incredibly well at this point. So I've been trying to increase awareness around that. The third way that you can increase your personal brand is by becoming a content developer, primarily through writing. There are plenty of blogs out there that will allow you to write. First off, you could set up your own blog. BZ Opportunity Management, we have our own blog that I usually do the blogging for. A lot of companies have started developing internal and public-facing blogs on critical points. You can ask to provide articles for that. And then there are other professional blogs that are out there. I know RFPIO, for one, hosts their own blog where they look for contributions from those within our field. So there are some great opportunities out there for you to create either your own content on your own with your own blog, or for you to guest blog on a lot of posts. LinkedIn and Medium are also great platforms for you to write on. LinkedIn has its own blogging service that provides articles across its medium that your people could get to know. And then Medium itself is a platform, medium.com, where you can do some great writing and some great resource development. I often try to cross-post my blog posts onto Medium because it really does have a great audience, and you can subscribe to that, like I said, medium.com. Finally, our APNP publications. Most of the regional chapters have some sort of newsletter or e-zine or online source for articles. I know for us in the National Capital area, we have the Executive Summary e-zine, which has just gone pure digital. In addition, APNP itself has started developing a purely digital version of its journal. It's gone away from the print journal to its journal, Winning the Business is what it's called. It's winningthebusiness.com. And you can submit to that and have your articles published there. The final point that we can do is present, as I was talking about on the previous slide. Presenting is a way to get your name out there, get your information out there, get your ideas out there, and get known personally out there as well. I wrote a post about a year and a half ago about having something to say, that we are all experts in our field, that we all have something interesting, insightful, and informative to say to other people in our field. And so being able to be a presenter is not some kind of, anointed skill for those who are only, 20 years of professional experience and have been doing this forever, and they're the only ones who have any real insights. That's not the case. We all have something that we can say and great insights and ideas that we can provide to others and help other people develop their careers. And like I said, you have all those regional and international conferences that you can speak at. You can also look outside our field. You can look at things like TED Talks and various other types of presentations that you can deliver. So fourth, I want to talk about mentoring. And I will say that to me, mentoring is one of the most important things we can do as a professional. And it's one of the most important things that we can do as we develop our careers. You can both be a mentor and have a mentor at the same time. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But being a mentor gives you a chance to be part of the community, gives you a chance to give back to your profession and to your organizations. And also, it gives you a chance to get to know other people in the field and to get great ideas from them. I've served as a mentor twice now in the APMP NCA Mentor Protege program. And I'll be honest, I think I got as much out of the experience and as much advice and information as I gave to people. It was great to be in those programs and to be part of that community and be able to learn from people at various stages in their career. So how can you be a mentor? There's formal programs, like I just mentioned. APMP NCA runs a mentor protege program, but that's not the only way. There's lots of ways to have what I refer to here as informal mentoring. It's just as valuable as a formalized program. In fact, I think it can sometimes be more valuable because it's something that can continue on throughout your professional career. You can call upon these key resources to help you grow and to help you develop as a proposal professional. I do recommend, though, that you be open and honest with your potential mentors. When you ask somebody to help mentor you or to be engaged with you as a mentor, explain why you're asking them, what types of advice you want, how much of a time commitment you're thinking, whether it's, lunch once a month or on an on-call basis. Being able to find that right mentor is critical, and being able to put those expectations in and desires up front allows that mentor to then understand what you're looking for. On the flip side, if somebody asks you to be a mentor, be honest about what you can provide in terms of a time commitment and in terms of knowledge. So if somebody's asking you to be a mentor about, engagement with APMP and you haven't been engaged in a couple of years, it's probably not the right person to ask. But if they're asking you to be a mentor on, looking for a new job and you've been a hiring manager at your last couple of companies for several years, it could be a very good fit for you. I say here, you can have different mentors for different aspects of your professional and personal life. I think being able to call on different people who have different skill sets and different experiences is really important to being a good mentor and being mentored well. So focusing your experience with certain people based on what they can provide, and also providing information to different types of people, is really important for your mentoring to work. And I end this by saying you never outgrow having a mentor. I think that's really important to think about. We often think of mentoring as being only something for people starting off in their careers or early in their professional lives. But everybody throughout organizations should have mentors. They should have people that they're looking for advice and information from, that they rely on for their candor, their wisdom, and their judgment. As I said, I've been on both sides of the mentoring relationship, and I still am. And I really value the relationships and the friendships that I've developed with the people that I've mentored and the people who mentor me. And really, without their input, their advice, their criticism, and their feedback, I know I wouldn't be the proposal professional I am today. So we've talked about more industry-wide or broader points in terms of developing your professional proposal career. We've talked about being involved in APMP, both from a certification and event point of view. We've talked about how you can become known within the community as a thought leader and an expert. And we've talked about being a mentor and having mentoring relationships in your professional life. So we're going to close out by talking about how we can execute on getting to the next level of our career within our companies, or moving on if we have to. So the number one question that people have always asked me about moving up within organizations is, how can I do that? How do I get noticed? How do I step into a leadership role? And I think the two key parts are, one that I've already talked about a lot, which is set a plan. Figure out how you're going to get there, and also find ways to showcase your capabilities, your talents, and prove that you're able to achieve what you're looking to do professionally. Critical to that is developing an internal network. So I talked a lot about networking earlier. Having a network within your company across organizations within that company is really important to helping develop your professional career within a firm. And as a proposal professional, we really have the capability of doing that when we're within companies, because proposals tend to touch on a wide range of operational organizations within our firms. We deal with HR around recruiting. We deal with operations around the technical approach. We deal with contracts and pricing on their pieces of the proposal. We deal with a lot of the back office staff when it comes to putting in content in our management sections around processes and approaches and tools. So there are a lot of people that we get to work with and we get to communicate and interact with within our companies. And maintaining those relationships, just like they are part of an external network, is important to making a good name and good reputation for yourself within your firm. Critical to your planning and your targeting of your next position is realizing the skills that you need and closing the gaps that you have in your knowledge base as a professional. There are two ways you can do this. Formal training is usually the route that most people go. And that includes things like workshops, public trainings, online offerings, Coursera, webinars, all those types of resources that are out there for you to gain new information, gain new insights, gain new skills that will allow you to achieve that next position. Now, how do you know what those skills are that you need to achieve? First, look at what the people in the positions that you're looking for currently have. What are the trainings that they've gone through? What are the experiences they have that you don't, that you need to reinforce on your resume? Look at the job descriptions for the type of positions that you're looking for and see what they have in common, and then be honest with yourself about what you have and what you don't have. And then use those formal training opportunities to fill those gaps and to make those pieces successful. Finally, you also in that set area have self-learning options. Honestly, reading and devouring content on your own is a great way to fill some of the gaps in your career. Online sources, whether it's news articles, journals, professional association web pages, whatever you can get your hands on, books, journals, magazines, things that allow you to develop the knowledge through reading I think is a great way to continue to develop your career. The final point I have on this slide is keep your resume up to date. I would recommend at least every other month that you update your resume with information like new key wins that you've had. So if you just won $100 million opportunity, put that on your resume. You might not be able to provide too much information, but you can at least say have a win rate of X, or has supported, 30 efforts over $100 million. Things like that will help gather the metrics you need to prove your capabilities. You can talk about key skills developed, whether through training or just through experience. Talk about other events and other things you've been involved in, whether it's publishing, presenting, mentoring. All those can be really important and key ideas on your resume. And having an up-to-date resume that you're updating incrementally allows you to be ready for those internal and external opportunities that come up to provide your resume and be able to be ready for that next challenge in your career. Instead of spending, an hour once a year redoing your entire resume, spend 5 minutes every other month adding that key information. You'll also make sure that it's fresh in your head and that you're capturing the most important and most critical pieces of information that are there. So those are the 5 ways that I think you can get the most out of your careers here in 2019. Commit to making a plan, commit to developing that plan, and commit to finding the resources you need to make that plan successful. I provided you with 5 here that I think really could help you develop and promote your career in 2019? I'd love to hear from you on other ones that you have, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But this is the obligatory small advertising part of the webinar. So as I mentioned, BZ Opportunity Management, our core services, we do bid management, training, process optimization, and contracts and subcontract support, primarily with government contractors. We do have two, I think, exciting new things in our portfolio. The first on the left here is an online seminar that we're running in conjunction with the SPAC conference that I mentioned before. It will be on the 18th of March from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's an online webinar, just like this, but it'll be interactive and will cover soft skills for proposal professionals. So we'll be talking about time management skills, how to handle a crisis, communication skills, and other key topics. You can get some more information by visiting softskills.bzopportunity.com. That's softskills.bzopportunity.com. It's $149 per person for registration. And as I said, that'll be on the 18th of March, 2019. The second is on the right side here. That is our first book that we've put out, which is called Tales from the Debrief, Volume 1. Collection of articles, blog posts, and a couple of exclusive pieces that are in there. I had a great time putting it together, and hopefully people have gotten a lot of insight out of it so far, and I'd love for you to check it out. It's available both on Kindle and in paperback, and you can get that at tfd.bzopportunity.com. And both those are on the notes in the pages here. So just to wrap up, thank you so much for taking the time today. I didn't receive any questions ahead of time, and I don't see any on the chat logs right now, which means that I don't think we really have any at the present time. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time, being part of the webinar today. I am open and would love to hear from you guys in the future. If you have any questions, comments, feedback on this webinar, you want some more information about anything that I've talked about, you have your own ideas on ways that you can improve your careers that I can bring to other people, I would love to hear from you. You can use info@bzopportunity.com, which is the email address that you've been getting most of the updates from for this webinar. Or you can just reach out to me. As I said, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. My handle on Twitter is @DrSwetai. So feel free to reach out to me in any way that you can. So thank you for your time again today. I hope you got something out of this. I would love to hear from you in the future, and have a great rest of your Wednesday.